an MCOG meeting. I believe that was in August, at the end of August, and we have her under contract to also give a presentation to the board today and to the Ukiah City Council tomorrow night. The focus of this is that we have programmed a couple of years ago in our work program some funding to do this particular study, to look into the feasibility of having traffic impact fees for the Ukiah Valley. And we put out an RFP, and the successful respondent is sitting next to me here. And right after we get them under contract, because of some other things that were going on with the Regional Transportation Improvement Program, we immediately put her on hold for about 6 months. So we got a little bit later start, and then went through what we thought was going to be a 6 or 8 month project. Turned out to be more like a year and a half, because the more we got into it, we found that we had to take the model that was completed, the traffic model that was completed under a separate contract by a different consultant for the city of Ukiah. We thought we were starting off with a pretty complete product, but the more we got into it, some of the input data was put into it was not consistent with the county's general plan. We had to go back and work on that quite a bit, and your county planning team staff was instrumental in helping this model move along. So it went along much longer than we thought, but we all came to an agreement by the middle of summer that we had the thing ready to go, and we had involvement on this with our technical advisory committee that consists of representatives both of the city of Ukiah as well as the county as well as the other entities, and went through this document several times and produced what we think is a reasonable effort as far as providing a nexus study. And the nexus study is really the technical document and really the first step. And as Julie will describe when she moves through her presentation, it's really going to be up to the Board of Supervisors and the Ukiah City Council to decide if they want to proceed with implementation. But what we have is a legal document that has the legal parameters for proceeding should both of these, your board and the city council, decide to proceed with the fees. It's one of the functions of the Council of Governments to look for ways of providing funding, and we feel that this is one of those things that you may consider and reject it, but it's one of those things where you should consider as a way of funding some of the transportation improvements that we know will be needed in the future. And if there are no questions of me, I'll just hand this over to Julie Morgan. Are you ready? Hearing none, I'm out of here.
Wise man, Mr. Dow.
Well, don't go too far away. Excuse me. Well, thank you all for your time. It's very nice to be here. I am Julie Morgan with Fair and Peers. We're transportation consultants with offices throughout California and the western U.S. My office is in Walnut Creek. As Phil mentioned, we have been working on this transportation impact fee study for some time now, for close to 2 years, sort of off and on. And so it's very nice to be here. What I hope to do is give you about maybe a 15-minute overview presentation about the study process and the findings. Hopefully you've all had a chance to peruse the document, the Nexus study, which I think was provided to you within the last couple of weeks. And then, both Phil and I obviously will be happy to have help answer questions that you might have. So in terms of the The purpose of our study, as Phil said, we were really tasked with doing what's called a nexus study, and I'll talk about that just a little bit more in a moment. But we were tasked with producing a nexus analysis, which is documented in the report that you have, that helps to support implementation of a transportation impact fee program for the Ukiah Valley area. As far as what is a transportation impact fee, I'm sure many of you are familiar with that, but just in overview, a fee program for transportation purposes is a funding mechanism, a way in which local jurisdictions, the city, the county, many cities and counties throughout California, use fees to collect contributions from new development to help pay for the infrastructure that's needed in order to support that new development. It is a one-time fee. It's usually charged and collected at the time that a building permit is issued. It represents then the fair share contribution of that new development, whether that be an office building or a new housing development or a shopping center, whatever it might be, their fair share contribution toward the transportation demands that those new residents and new employees and new shoppers are going to place on the local transportation system. It does need to be consistent with the requirements of state law. As we've talked about, the state of California does have some legal requirements that define some rules